Oh, this caught me by surprise. White Lake there's some sunshine there. I don't know why. I thought we were going to see a lot more overcast, but that's a beautiful surprise as you're waking up this morning. Watching WRAL News, we've got Elizabeth Gardner, who may have a little surprise for you right there on the Dual Doppler.
Yeah, we have seen most of the rain taper off now, and I would not be surprised if we saw a few breaks in the clouds, especially from the triangle area south and east, a little closer to lunchtime. But when we do, we're going to see all that sun's energy helping to create the potential for more scattered thunderstorms. We did have a lot of heavy rain overnight last night, so we continue to have the potential for some flash flooding here in Roxborough, especially along Madison Street right there. And the flood warning is in effect until 9 o'clock. Here's a picture of that flooding there on Madison Street in Roxborough. Stephen Myers sent us this in. Thanks for sending us that. So there may still be some ongoing problems. I know Person County schools were on a 2-hour delay because of all that flooding. Lots of rain overnight last night. Fuquay-Varina saw almost 4 inches, a little over 3 in Efland, a little under 2.5 in Warrenton, about 2 1/4 in Wake Forest, and then Smithfield and Sanford both at close to 1 1/4 inches, 1 3/4 inches. A lot of rain out there. We have a cold front that's back to the west, but sort of a stationary boundary that helped to produce all the rain that we saw yesterday. Checking out Futurecast, we'll pause it here. This is lunchtime. Look at that. Kind of a hole in the clouds right there, south and east of the triangle. But as we see that, that's going to add energy to the atmosphere, and we'll see more showers and storms developing. Now, this is not going to be a situation like last night where we had a lot of heavy rain and thunder and lightning. These are just going to be mainly isolated cells that pop up, and they may produce some brief heavy rain. And we'll likely see the potential for more rain tomorrow. We'll likely start in the morning with dry conditions. There's 5 o'clock, but by 8 or 9 o'clock, we start to see some rain. And this is going to be kind of right ahead of Helene as it starts to send some rain our way on Thursday, especially from the triangle area westward. Overnight, it becomes a little bit heavier. And then, of course, Friday, it picks up even more. And Friday will have the potential for a few isolated tornadoes. We may start to see some dry air moving in the afternoon, and that could shut off the precipitation maybe as early as mid to late afternoon on Friday. We do have a low risk for flooding for most of our viewing area and a level 1 risk for severe storms because of that potential for some isolated tornadoes. Definitely hardest hit will be the mountains. Every time these models come out, it looks like more and more rain for the mountains. And boy, these gorges, these valleys along these rivers, this is going to be devastating. There's going to be a lot of damage to the mountains of North Carolina, especially the southern mountains with this much rainfall. And look at that, 50 to 60 mile per hour winds on top of that. For us, we'll likely see around 30 mile per hour wind gusts as we get through the day on Friday, and we may have some isolated totals that are a little heavier than that. It is still a tropical storm, but very close to becoming a hurricane. That's likely to happen later today. It's Category 3 as it makes landfall here along the Florida Gulf Coast, and then moving northward and then westward over toward Tennessee. And that's diminishing the amount of rain that we'll see. We'll likely see about 1 to 3 inches. You can see the storm making landfall, lots of rain out ahead of it, but then it swings very quickly over here to the west, and that will decrease the amount of rain that we'll end up seeing. Checking our forecast, on Friday we have the Bluegrass Festival. It is likely to be wet for the first half of the day, but we might see some improving conditions late afternoon into the evening. Saturday looks like the driest day of the week at 20% chance of rain. We're back up to just around a 30% chance on Sunday. Ken?
Elizabeth, I'm meteorologist Chris Michaels in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. All eyes on Helene as of the 8 a.m. update from the National Hurricane Center. It is a tropical storm likely to become a Category 3 hurricane before making landfall on Florida's Big Bend at some point Thursday evening. And then you see it takes that left turn. And yes, the center of the storm is not going to be anywhere near here. However, this is a big storm. According to the National Hurricane Center, the storm size is in the 90th percentile for storms at that latitude, basically saying it's a very big storm. So the impacts are going to be felt well to the east of the storm center. And as we look ahead at hour-by-hour rain chances for Thursday, you'll notice that they start out low, but as we head into the second half of the day, especially into the night, that rain will gradually start to spread from south to north, and then that takes us into Friday. We see some off and on rain throughout the day Friday, probably wrapping up at some point mid to late afternoon. At that point, we've got a medium flood risk that's especially near into the west of the triangle. As we head from late morning into the early afternoon, some strong wind gusts will be a possibility, That's also when we have the level 1 risk out of 5 for isolated tornadoes. So let's show you the overall trajectory of the storm, and you can see it being pulled to the west by low pressure right over Memphis, Tennessee. That's going to take a lot of very, very heavy rain into the mountains of North Carolina and the Blue Ridge of Virginia. Meanwhile, we see periods of off and on rain. So we're not going to see the biggest impacts from this storm. The worst of it is definitely going to be felt in the mountains, where they could see above 10 inches of rain in areas like Asheville. At the same time, they're going to see the strongest wind gusts. So there's a low chance for power outages here locally, but a higher chance as you head into South Carolina and parts of the mountains of North Carolina. We leave you this morning with a check of the 7-day forecast. Improving weather the rest of the weekend, the high 85 by Saturday afternoon.